This marathon is benefiting Haven House, which provides children's hospice care and support for their families. And actually, speaking of that, we just got a donation in as we were setting up. We got a 90-pound donation from anonymous. Their message saying, "I like Portal." Well, we do too, which is amazing because that's our next run coming up. And this one I'm super mega excited for, and I believe all of you all are too, just judging by the excitement here in the chat. So without further ado, here is Portal 2 single player by Jaio with special guest Ellen McLean joining us on the mic. Take it away.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, we are here playing Portal 2 single player. On commentary, we have my friend Fridge and Ellen McLean, the voice of both GLaDOS and the turrets. So,
yes. I'm different.
Alright, so this game does start with a good 5 minutes of straight cutscene, so I'm just going to start right here. The timer is going to start when I gain control of the character, so I'll do a little bit of a countdown. And
Good morning. You have been in suspension for 15
let's see
days.
here. Timer is going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Science Extended Relaxation Center must be revived periodically for a
All
mandatory
right.
physical and mental
So
wellness exercise.
this is Portal 2. I'm sure this game needs no introduction.
Look up at the
I'm sure everyone's played Portal 2. Everyone in chat I can see is from pretty much the Portal 2 community. But
Good.
for those who aren't familiar with the speedrun,
Physical and mental wellness
basically,
exercise.
normally this game, so Portal 2 does start with a 5-minute cutscene where you just have to sit in this this hotel room while Wheatley says some funny things. Actually, for the speedrun, for our personal speedruns, we don't actually go through this cutscene. We are able to use a custom save to start the game about 4.5 minutes in, which skips this whole cutscene, makes it nice and easy. But for marathons, it's just not used. Let's see, there we go. So, to explain some stuff that's going on screen here, because there's a lot of other extra information here. Let's get the store open.
Hello? Anyone in there?
There we go. There's Wheatley. So to explain some of the stuff that's on screen, on the top left we have my we have an in-game HUD, which has my position, angle, and velocity. So position, where I'm standing in the world; angles, where I'm looking; and velocity, how fast I'm moving. Underneath that timer is the in-game timer. So the timer that's on screen on the graphics is going through real time, while the timer inside the game here pauses during loads, and that's how we time speedruns. On the bottom left is an input HUD, so you can see what I'm doing with my keyboard and my mouse. And, well, that's it right now. On the bottom right will be my portal gun when we get that in about 6 minutes-ish.
Now you've been under for quite a lot longer, and it's not.
Of course, now we just have to sit here for a little bit and listen to Wheatley, of course, voiced by Stephen Merchant.
But don't be alarmed, all right? Although if you do,
I've never seen
try to
this.
hold on to that feeling, because that is the proper reaction.
Yeah,
I've
this
never
bit,
seen this part of the game.
Do you understand what I'm saying at all? Does any of this make any
I
sense?
very
Just tell
rarely
me, just
ever
say yes.
play this part of the game,
Okay, what you're doing there is jumping.
so I
You
just need
use
to
jump.
sometimes
Never
remember
mind.
what there
Say
is to do.
apple. Okay, you know what? That's close enough. Just
There we
hold tight.
go. And that's it. So pretty much, if I wanted to, I could leave my desk and go take a little bit of a break if I wanted to. I'm obviously not going to,
Hey, look, I wasn't going to mention this to you,
but I can.
I'm in pretty hot water here.
So it's just kind of one of the reasons why we skip this if we want to.
The reserve power ran out, so of course the whole relaxation center stopped.
In terms of movement, since Portal 2 is a very movement-heavy game, I'm going to be using a lot of bunny hopping and strafing, which you can see on my input HUD. This is what the inputs look like. I don't have a good amount of room here. But basically, Portal 2 has a bit of a speed cap. If you use the W button, that's how most Source Engine games work. If you hold W, so instead of holding W, you use the A and D keys to just keep gaining speed when you're moving
And whose fault
in the
it's
air.
going to be when the manager comes down here and finds
The last thing with
10,000
movement is that when you reach 300 velocity, I'm not sure if it's showing up on screen or not, but when you reach 300 velocity, you can't change direction anymore.
We should get our
You
stories
can, it's
straight,
just
right?
quite
If
difficult.
anyone asks,
So that's something that you need to be careful of, because it is very easy to get
tell
300
them as
speed.
far as you know, the last
You can
time
do that in
checked,
one or two
everyone
bunny
looked
hops,
pretty
maybe.
much alive. All right, not dead.
But yeah, there are a little bit of
Okay,
movement quirks
almost
in
there.
Portal 2 that
On the
aren't
other
in
side of that
Portal
wall,
1 or any
is
other
the old
Portal
test
game.
tracks. There's
So
a
it's just
piece
something that you
equipment
kind of have to
in
look
there
out
that we're
for.
gonna need to get out of here. I
Anyway,
think this is a
we're reaching
docking
the end
station.
of this
Get
part of the
ready.
cutscene here, and then after we leave this little room here, we'll have to be sitting in another room for like 20 seconds before we could actually start playing the video game.
I'm going to attempt a manual override on this wall.
So now that we've kind of passed the general movement scheme of things, I do want to ask Ellen a question, and that's what kind of other work have you been doing recently, if any?
Holes, not bullet holes.
I did do a play live on Twitch. It's a play by Marcia Norman called Night Mother, and two-person play, mother-daughter, and the daughter is considering suicide. And my young actor friend Sheila Houlihan and I streamed it live on Twitch. Now, me being a technophobe, of course, Sheila handled all of that, connection and but she was in a town across the lake from Seattle. I was here in our condo here in Seattle, and we streamed the play live on Twitch. So I'm desperately trying to stay up with the current world, which is nigh impossible, but I make the effort. So I'm so happy to be here with you all today. People around the world, I find that so exciting. And I'm looking at things in the game. Of course, I've seen screen grabs from Portal 2, but that first, that seedy hotel room, goodness, I had never seen that seedy hotel room.
Yeah, that's a part of the game that a lot of people, like, since it's the first part of the game, obviously the most people playing it have seen it, but in speedruns we actually very rarely get to it.
So what is the record for the speed run through the game?
It was just recently beaten. I'm gonna have to remember this.
It's currently a 57:47 by Burger 40 is his name.
So 57 minutes and 47 seconds.
Wow. That's still quite a long time, so it must be a rather extensive game.
It is. There's a lot of points in the run where I'm sure the record loses. I'm gonna be quiet here because I'm gonna need to focus for a second. Hold on. Okay, so to explain what that was a bit of a dialogue skip. So how it works is that the announcer, which he's playing right now, and Wheatley, who we all know, they both have voice lines, but you could, by leaving that area of the office room at a certain time, you can make Wheatley interrupt the announcer, and he'll just end up skipping one of the lines and say, "Uh-oh." No.
I see. So these are tricks to save time.
Yes.
Yeah, because dialogue plays a huge part in how the game works. Even at the end of some of these levels, you'll see Jaio stop before entering an elevator with kind of the same principle, where he's lining up the dialogue. Yeah, it won't be in this map, but the next map will.
Mm-hmm.
In which he's lining up with when the dialogue ends to when the elevator triggers the end level. And if you time it perfectly, they can save up to around 2 to 6 seconds per elevator, depending on how slow the elevator is.
It's kind of weird how it works. Hold on, I'm going to listen here. So, how Portal 2 works is that the game has some very funny voice lines in it. and Valve wants you to listen to the entirety of the funny voice lines. So the game won't allow you to move on to the next level until the voice line is finished playing. So by entering the elevator at a later time, it gets it so that the elevator switches over to the next level at the exact time that whatever dialogue is planned. That was really lucky, Fridge, if you want to.
Yeah, so what he did there is that he took his player and he walked over the button in such a way to where he activates the button for only 1 tick. And what a tick is in-game is it's 1/60th of a second. And by only being on that button for that 1 tick, the game activates the button, but then doesn't have time to deactivate it, since the object that's being brought up, which is going to be that platform, takes more than 1 tick to be activated.
We're going to see
I
that.
understand that intellectually.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a few more of those button things later in the run. Actually, are we?
I
don't know.
I don't think so, unless you do pit flings back up.
I don't. I probably will at least.
So it looks like Wheatley is leading you through this.
Yeah,
now.
Wheatley, so that last map, I shot through the door, which looked weird. So the industrial door, the 3D models for that door, they don't have... There's a little part near the top of them where you could just shoot a portal through for no reason. And we're going to be seeing another one of those later, but it just allows us to skip the entirety of the map and a long cutscene where Wheatley inserts himself into a wall and opens up a secret panel. But now Wheatley's coming with us for this map.
Yeah.
Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yes, though, in about 30 seconds we are going to be being introduced to GLaDOS.
I will wait. Totally fine.
Can you see it anywhere?
I did notice in chat someone said that my profile picture is the icon on the elevators, and yes, it is. You could change textures in this game. It's very easy to. There are a few rules on changing textures, and that is if you can gain any advantage, so you can't like write down a lineup or something on a texture. But I do have a few textures changed, most notably here my portal gun. Normally it's white. I have it changed to have my profile picture on it. Oh, look who it is.
and angry, I'm sure. Oh, I seem to be reforming.
Alright, here we are. Our introduction to GLaDOS.
Oh, it's you.
You know her?
It's been a long time. How have you been? I've been really busy being dead. You know, after you murdered me.
You did what?
Yeah, she's quite angry. So
No!
how Portal 2.
Look.
So the ending of Portal 1, you after the boss fight with GLaDOS, you essentially kill her and break her into many pieces. And after, you know, however many years it's been, 50,000 years or so, she's quite angry.
You must really, really love
But now that she's awake, we are ready to get back into what she loves best, and that's testing.
Indeed. Indeed. For science.
Yes.
I
do
always
I
hope
have...
that the game inspires people to study science.
Here we are.
Yeah.
The incinerator.
There have been studies online that I've seen on like people doing wormhole studies and other stuff like with that because of playing Portal and having interest in that sort of stuff.
Well, you know, the advances, you know, I'm very excited about the Webb telescope And of course, it's not sending back information, but it is a million miles from Earth. And it's going to send back information that revolutionizes our understanding of the universe.
Yes, yes. I've been looking at... Hold on, I'm gonna... Alright. I have been looking into and keeping track with the James Webb Telescope as well, seeing its progress with opening up and starting to work.
My husband is a big space buff, and that's, gotten me interested.
By the way, thanks for that.
Uh-oh. Alright.
Sorry about the mess.
I think I accidentally had a wrong bind here. So, the thing with the Portal 2 that you can't do in some other games is make and load quick saves. And that's what part of the category. Actually, on stream it just says single player, but the category's official name is Inbounds No SLA. Inbounds meaning you can't go out of bounds, so we're going to be seeing the facilities for the entire run. And no SLA meaning no save load abuse, meaning you can't use these quick saves and quick loads to do any glitches. However, it appears I just didn't have one. So I just sort of had to quickly bind the load key to my keyboard, which hopefully should be good now. If not, I'll be very
Jaio,
upset.
that's all Greek to me. Well, I'm sure people understand what you were talking about, but it's like, what? What?
Fridge, if you want to explain what that was.
So what Jaio just did there is that he took the laser, which would, in that level you have two receivers, and normally you would have to take the cube and point, and redirect the laser to one of the receivers, and then place two portals to activate the second one. But if you're standing next to the door and you switch your portals in a certain way so that one receiver is being activated at 1 second, and then the second receiver is being activated soon after, if you're next to the door, you can then just abuse the game's factor of not using the doors to crush you, and you can just leave the level early without having to set up the cube. And a trick that Jaio is doing here is that he is using portals in such a way to where he's getting stuck in the wall, and then constantly shooting portals to gain the momentum from being pushed out of the portals, to then make this fling to the end of the level with the cube.
Which I am not seeming to get. This is 100% my fault. There we go.
Give you credit. I guess you are listening to me.
I
that should not
absolve you,
have taken.
Jaio.
Don't have to go that slow.
That should not have taken as long as it did. It is not a hard trick. The nervousness, I suppose. Alright. So this map we're going to be introduced to catapults. I'm sorry, what are you going to say?
This next test
No, I was just noticing that not the last elevator, but the previous elevator, it looked like companion cubes were going through the shaft, and then you got on the elevator, and I don't understand that, So now
I think
you've
the
got
elevators
to-
are all intertwined.
and pump it back in.
I don't think Aperture Science has a good elevator system. Yeah, you can see them.
Yeah. They're sending all those cubes through the shaft.
It's cost efficient to use all the same elevator shafts.
Advanced aerial faith plates. Well, have fun.
Yeah, so that map we're introduced to these catapults, and they're going to be major test elements throughout the rest of the game. And these catapults are why, like I said earlier, there's the speed cap of 300 speed, because Valve didn't want players to just be able to get a ton of speed and then go wherever they wanted to. So these catapults are why we have to work around that speed.
Standing around, smelling and being useless. Try to avoid the garbage hurtling towards you.
And then here you may have noticed that he went to the button where the ball was going to fall. Basically, there's a trigger around that area that activates so that the ball is more likely to be funneled into the button.
I was trying to wait in front of the elevator for something that wasn't happening. Okay, it ended up working fine, but I have no clue why I did that.
I'm sorry.
And here we're going to be seeing another example of those super reportals, but it's going to be, instead of being on the wall, it's going to be on the floor. So by looking at a very specific angle and by having a portal that's touching the floor, you can then get stuck in the edge of the floor to then be able to do the same, shoot 5 portals, and then be able to gain a lot of momentum quick.
We're going to be seeing a few more of those tricks in the run here. It's a very widely used trick, a very important trick, really.
So, Jaio, is this, when you talk about these tricks, is this common knowledge among Portal 2 players, or are you giving away proprietary information?
Surprisingly enough, if you if I go to say a website like Reddit or something, I can go onto the Portal communities there, and there will be people discovering these tricks, like, for themselves without like looking them up. So they're not difficult to find under the right circumstances. And most of these tricks really kind of were accidents. So, people accidentally do a trick, and now everyone in the community has to look back at it and figure how they did whatever they did. So it's a lot of happy accidents that make a lot of these tricks happen.
Also, to mention something that Jaio just did, you may have noticed if you played through the game before that he got through that ceiling a lot sooner than what is normally expected. Because what he did is, after he hit the catapult, he crouched and uncrouched at very specific times to hit the dialogue triggers twice, causing the game to freak out and then just to skip those dialogues altogether.
You were able to see on the top left, there's a lot more information on, like, than right now. I have a thing in Portal 2 called Developer Mode, and it basically just turns on that sort of extra text. It outputs the developer console's output onto my screen. It's very useful to have.
Well, you passed the test. I didn't see that.
And there, Jaio using the mechanics of the level in a very creative way to get a fling straight to the end.
Yeah, there's a panel there that normally would flip up if you block the laser, or sorry, flip down if you block the laser. However, since I had the cube in the air, it activated the laser, which brought down the panel, then deactivated it, which raised it. So it's just kind of a little fun exploit. Oh, hello.
And now, one thing that I forget if it's ever seen at a different point in the game, but what Jaio could have done in that level is he could have actually shoved a cube through the glass there, abusing how the portal bubbles work, which makes some things in the levels effectively transparent to objects. Or invisible to objects, sorry.
It's kind of weird. It isn't used too much in the game, however, that is one of the times. Let's see how this will go.
And here, Jaio's going to be doing a trick that we affectionately call door skip, which is that you just get so much speed that you skip that door closing. And if that door closes before you get through, you have to wait in about, I believe it's 40 to 50 second cutscene.
I am not gaining any speed here.
This trick is definitely a very difficult one, and can be finicky if you're not completely warmed up, because even some of the top runners will have problems with this trick from time to time.
So when you say not completely warmed up, do you mean your hand?
I mean, like practice. Although, it's just something like,
In fact, you did so
Well, when moving your hands, you do kind of want your hands to be a little bit warmer.
Oh, there's lots of room here.
I don't know if that works. Like, you do just kind of want your hands to be warmer if you're doing too many actions involving moving your fingers. So that as well. So my room is a little bit warmer than what I would like it to be, but it's much better than having cold hands when I'm trying to focus. Hello. So this map introduced you to turrets here, which we're not going to take too nicely with.
No, you not. I can tell. I like the turrets.
The turrets try to kill me, so...
But they're so sweet.
There will be some turret here. The turret in, not this level, but the next level will actually help me out a little bit.
Good. Good.
So one of the turrets will be helping me. So the funny thing with this level is that you just shoot the portals here before you even enter this, which makes it very simple.
Well, I've been working on a belated birthday.
And while we're going to have a little bit of an elevator sequence, I do want to ask you another question, Ellen. And it's, what, out of the two roles that you played in Portal 2, which one was your favorite, the turrets or GLaDOS?
Important is it's a present.
Voicing, you mean? Voicing the turrets or voicing GLaDOS?
Yeah.
Or the writing for them?
Either
were
one.
Were you a part of the writing at all?
Oh no, the writing was Eric Wolpaw and Jay Pinkerton, and then of course Chet Falasek for the multiplayer. The
I find a lot of
writers are so clever.
I find a lot of the multiplayer lines to sometimes be a bit funnier than the single player lines.
Well, that's Chet Falasek. Chet Falasek and Eric Wolpaw partnered up on a podcast before Valve hired them. And I think they hired Eric first, and then I think Eric, got them to get Chet on board. And they're very funny people. Very funny people.
This game has very funny lines in it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that Valve timed the game so people had to listen to the lines.
They did.
Of course, I got paid anyway, but I laughed a lot in the recording sessions. And of course, the time I laughed the most is when I was told that I would be a potato battery. That was.
We'll be getting to that.
Funniest.
We'll be getting to that quite soon.
It doesn't say what the prize was for.
Spoilers.
Well, I know it wasn't neurotoxin.
Do we have time for that donation?
Yes, we do.
Awesome. We have a 30-pound donation from Big Daniel saying, "Love from P2SR."
Let's go, Daniel.
My man, Daniel. Daniel is one of the more active members of the Portal 2 speedrunning community, as well as a lot of people in chat.
Initiating surprise in 3.
Well, that's wonderful.
2, 1.
Daniel, thank you for your
I
generosity.
made it all up. Surprise.
Alright, so this map is going to have a kind of weird skip at the end that skips a whole cutscene involving Wheatley and Jerry the Nanobot. So, yeah, no, that did not work. So, basically, elevators are kind of weird in this game. Sorry, elevators and physics are kind of weird in this game. Where if you... I'm really not quite sure how to explain it. But if the price is right, you can fall straight through the elevator floor.
Let's give your parents a call.
That's kind of a little more technical explanation. Hopefully I have all my notes together right. Is that basically whenever the game detects that you're in a weird position, what it's going to do is it's going to check where can it put the player first that's going to be the safest. And in some cases that's going to be through the bottom of the elevator, because that's the safest spot that it can place you, since all other spots would either kill you or it would just get you stuck even further. Is, I believe, kind of the short end of it.
I did get it kind of first try, however I I did walk into the elevator accidentally, so I don't know if I'm going to count it as first try. Yeah, normally the skip is called Jerry Skip because it skips a cutscene featuring Jerry the Nanobot. However, if you get it first try, then it is referred to as Dane Skip.
The story of it being named Dane Skip is because when we didn't really know the full technicality of it, it was we didn't know the coordinates and everything. It was you kind of looked at one spot and looked at another spot, did a couple of button presses, and you would hope to get it. And in Dane's first ever attempt of doing the trick, he got it perfectly.
This next test chamber is pretty good. That's right. The facility is.
I'm gonna
I've
relook for
never
that
heard
because
of Jerry the Nanobot.
yeah, it's not a
new.
cutscene that really comes back. Jerry does not come back throughout the rest of the game. So I'm actually going to restart this level here because I completely forgot to sort of activate the dialogue there. So instead of waiting 20 seconds, I just decided to just do the level again. That was my fault.
And for that level, that's another example of the laser switch glitch that we saw way earlier in the game. Except instead of moving your portals around, you just wave a cube with the laser and hit all 3 other relays within the allotted time frame that's would be needed for the trick.
Alright, here's where the objectively best part of the game starts, the escape sequence. So we're done with testing for now. We will get back to test chambers. But for now, we're done with them, and now we're just trying to escape the facility with Wheatley. So this part of the game here is entirely movement-based, which sucks because I'm not great at movement compared to a good amount of other players.
Come on, over here, this way. Come on, come on.
There we go.
You're okay?
And with this section, you'll see a lot of the movement tech a lot more in depth of what we explained towards the beginning of the game. One that you're going to see is, I don't know if, one that Jaio covered, but you can look away from a flat wall and just jump and hold crouch and then unhold crouch on every other hop, and you can gain a lot of speed very quickly.
Yeah, you saw me doing it just then. I'm going to be doing it a lot more in the next map as well.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the next map, so I'm actually going to be enabling a mode called Fulbright mode, which is a dev command that you can put into the developer console, and it just makes the screen a lot brighter. And the reason why I turn this on is because I know that video encoding through just dark stuff in going over video streaming does not work well, and also some people in the audience may not be using good screens, so it'll look entirely black to them. So just for visual clarity, I turn it on. I'm able to play the map without it on. It's very easy for me to see. However, just for the live streams, I turn it off or turn it on.
Here's an interesting story. I almost got a job down here in manufacturing, but guess who the foreman went?
It
And
looks
also,
like
yeah,
you're passing some efforts to repair turrets.
Yeah, this map, actually, you're 100% right. This map is actually called Turret Factory in the game.
Ah.
So, yes, this is exactly what it is. This is where they make the turrets. Also, can I answer a question in chat? Is Portal 1 or 2 easier to pick up for beginners? That's a very subjective question. Portal 1 and 2 are very different games.
That was my question.
Oh, I didn't even notice your username. But yeah, they're very different games with very different movement styles. But yeah, it really does come down to one, personal preference, two, depending on what you want to run. So what's easier? Portal 1 glitchless is definitely easier than Portal 2 single player, especially at the beginner level. When you get to the to higher ranks, it gets harder and harder. But at the beginner level, the easiest is probably Portal and Glitchless.
Almost there.
Good to know.
Only the turret
Thank you.
control center. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
So here's gonna be another one of those shots where I shoot through a door. That's not even the spot where I'm supposed to look.
Master turret there as a template. Now, if we
There we
pull
go.
out the template turret, it'll
So-
shut down the whole production line.
This is another thing where I could shoot through a door, and you can really see it really is just shooting through a door because Valve made a not good game.
Like a buzzer or an alarm of some kind, or like a hacker alert. I mean, you know,
I didn't do it.
fair enough.
I didn't do it great, but it does save a lot of time over just sitting through a cutscene there where Wheatley hacks open that door. Takes about 10 minutes,
40 potato batteries.
according to Wheatley.
Huh.
I mean, I realize
In
that-
reality, it takes maybe 2 seconds.
Barely science, really, is it?
Wheatley doesn't have a good sense of time.
Just to reassure you. Alright, don't worry, I'm absolutely guaranteeing you 100% that it's this way. Okay, let's try this way.
So this next map is kind of weird. So there are two main modes in Portal 2 that people play. There's full game, which is just this, it's the main campaign. And then there's also challenge mode, which are each of the levels individually with a speedrun timer built in game. This map is kind of weird, as it is 100% cycle based. So you can't just get any time on this map. You can only get a time about, I'm not sure how far apart each cycle is, but if you look at the leaderboards, there will be clumps of people grouped together, all tied, up until the very top, like maybe top 10, top 20, maybe.
Good news. I can use this equipment to shut
And the reason why that happens is that when the map is loaded, the panels will automatically start on a cycle. And that cycle will never change no matter what you do to the game.
Yeah, so it really is about getting a lower time just from having better movement.
Neurotoxin pressure has reached dangerously unlethal levels.
So now I just need to wait here for the store to open. And then we have a bit of a cutscene where we mentioned earlier about Aperture not having a good elevator system, and this is really the map to show that they really don't. It's a mess.
right to her. I can't believe I'm
It's a
finally doing
mess.
And mind you, this was connected to the tubes of the neurotoxin factory. So,
Yeah, so neurotoxin used to also be running through all of these tubes.
This place is huge. I'm really saying
This is a bit of a cutscene bit, though.
for miles.
Actually, the next few maps are all cutscenes. We're just about at the halfway point of the run here.
Look on her face.
But this map, just cutscene, I could take my hands off the keyboard and mouse. The next map will have a little bit of gameplay, and it's also where, spoilers, GLaDOS does get turned into a potato battery.
Going the wrong way.
And then the map after that is another cutscene where I can take my hands off the keyboard. So this is the most boring part of the game, as there just isn't much to do for about 6 minutes.
and this would be a good time if there's donations or anything, or even if people chat, if you have any questions for Ellen, we could ask them for you. Since we do have a solid amount of time where we can ask a good amount of questions.
Yeah, feel free to get those questions in the chat. Right now is actually a great time to remind everyone about our charity that we're raising money here at FTLG. It's for Haven House. Haven House isn't just about end-of-life care. The hospice is often a happy and fun place where young people can live life to the full. Haven House is where families feel safe, at home, and where they can spend quality time together, enabling parents to be parents and not caregivers. Care delivery can take place in a variety of settings, including at home and in the hospice. Care and support is provided by specialist nurses, healthcare workers, counselors, play specialists, music therapists, physiotherapists, and family support workers. So yeah, just know every donation counts. No amount is too small, and we definitely want to give big shout outs and thank you to all the viewers and folks watching and those who have been donating. So thank you. You all are the MVPs.
Alright, we do have some questions for Ellen, so let me read out this first one here. Ellen, how did you get involved with the first Portal, and I guess Valve in general?
Well, I had done, the administrator in Team Fortress 2, victory. I had done that role, but I just my agent sent out an audition with a sound file of a computerized voice for Portal. And Valve had wanted to use that computer-generated voice for the game, but it was copyrighted, so it was cheaper to hire an actor to do it. So the audition was, try to sound as much like this computerized voice as you can. And I'm assuming that I got the closest. So, I got the role of GLaDOS. And ultimately the computerized voice would have worked very well at the beginning of the game. But when GLaDOS starts going crazy in Portal, that would have been kind of hard to get the emotional quality that was necessary for certainly the end of Portal. So that's how I got. I had already done Team Fortress 2, and Half-Life. Oh, I guess Half-Life was my first one. Half-Life 2, because I'm the voice of Overwatch in Half-Life 2. And that's when I did Half-Life 2. That was the first one, written by Mark Laidlaw. I didn't even know it was a game. I went to the recording sessions and did what I was asked, but I didn't know it was a game.
I do find it funny you were talking about, like the computerized voice that they had not getting enough emotion for when GLaDOS goes crazy. You were saying that right as GLaDOS was screaming no in like pure agony. So that's funny. Alright, so what I just did there was I jumped on top of the elevator. Normally you're supposed to go inside the elevator and sit in the cutscene where Wheatley turns GLaDOS into the potato. There she is. And that takes like 2.5 minutes. But jumping on top of the elevator just lets you walk out of it. So there's a hitbox around the elevator that just sort of disappears around where Wheatley says that he's huge. And you can just walk out and fall down the pit and skip that whole cutscene. But we do have another minute here, so let me grab another question for you, Ellen.
Okay.
Let's see here. Alright. You did sort of answer this when you mentioned Half-Life 2, but were you briefed on the Portal story, or were the lines just fed to you?
In the initial recording sessions, I understood that I was just a facilitator to get people into the game. And it wasn't until a later recording session I didn't understand the line. And Eric Wolpaw said to me, "Ellen, you're lying. You're lying to the player." And I said, oh, because I thought I was just, help the player get through the game. And then I realized, I'm actually lying.
You're the villain of the story.
Yes, I didn't realize I was the villain.
Anyway, the villain is about to be taken away by a crow, so...
I know that I hate birds. Yes, I hate birds.
Anyway, so this is the underground part of the game. This is most people's favorite because this is the bit where Cave Johnson comes in, of course voiced by J.K. Simmons. Usually everyone's favorite character. We're not going to hear him yet. It's actually going to be about a minute. A minute or two until we actually hear the voice of Cave. Because he doesn't come in at this map at all. And in the next map, we're going to skip every single time he talks, so it's kind of interesting, kind of funny. We do have a little 20-second cutscene here, so one last question for you. For you, Ellen, should people go and donate to the Haven House charity?
Yes. I visited the website, when you all asked me to participate in this marathon, I went and visited the website, and it's very compelling and very instructive because these very seriously ill young people need help and need care and need places where their health is being looked after, but also where they can just have some fun. And this is a wonderful organization, Haven House. So I encourage people to give what they can. And as Mar said, no amount is too small. It all is going to be used well to help these children.
All right.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, this map is normally where Cave Johnson would first appear. However, using some fun tricks like shooting up onto this panel from around the from around the cliff, and skipping that final room, we actually don't hear anything from him. We are going to be hearing him in this map here.
And to also explain the trick that he did, he's basically abusing a mechanic in the game, which are they're kind of catapult triggers, where to make sure that the player is never going to over fling to a location or under fling to a location, they put kind of sneaky little catapult triggers to make sure that the player reaches the exact location that they would want every time. But by using that in that level, in a certain way, the player can then activate that trigger and then do a reportal, which gives you that 200 extra velocity to then get to the ending a lot sooner after bouncing off of a pipe. And also skips the lever that would normally pump the blue gel to the rest of the levels.
Yeah, so why is there blue gel in this level? I don't know. Anyway, in this map, at the beginning, you may have noticed that I shot through a wall. That's called a seam shot. So some corners in this game, you can... So, to give a little bit of a diagram, the corner looks like this. The corner, if I zoom in on the corner, looks like this. If I zoom in a lot, you could shoot a portal through. It's quite interesting, and it's used a few times throughout the run. We'll see it one more time actually in the next level. Not this level, but the next one.
And in this level, he's going to be using a clever placement of a bunch of portals to be able to make this fling as fast as possible here, as he looks like he flung a little too early to the gel blob, which in that case will explode in midair, meaning it doesn't reach the intended target, which would bounce him to the end.
Yeah, that's just sort of an unlucky jump on my end. Alright. So this next map is going to have another one of those seam shots, and you'll be able to see me lining up and shooting through the wall here. This one is actually so precise that I need to add a third coordinate, so a third decimal place to my HUD at the top left of the screen here. So let's see how fast I can get this.
And this seam shot is the most precise that we do in runs. In which the previous one, it's 3 decimals is kind of the general, the easiest you can do it, but with this seam shot, it's technically the easiest when it's 4 decimal places in to hit, but most players still use 3, as it will work most of the time with 3.
Alright, and you were able to see me break open that box down there. I'm not entirely sure how it works, Fridge, if you know more about that, but if you crouch into the bottom of that glass panel and then uncrouch, something with your hitbox collides with it, and it just breaks the glass around it.
From my understanding of it, and I'm not the best when it comes to knowing the exact details of things, but basically the player, when crouched, becomes half the height. So as the player is initially going into the portal, if you crouch at a certain time, the player, I believe, hits the box twice, which then causes the game to kind of freak out in a way and say, well, the box should be doing something since it's getting hit a whole bunch within a small time frame, so then the first glass panel will just shatter. Which I believe is kind of the rough explanation of it.
Yeah, so this map, normally you're supposed to head into that control room and then pick up GLaDOS inside the potato. And normally she talks to you about how she was taken away by the bird and how I'm good at murder or whatever. It's really easy to just do a fling that skips all that, though, so... In fact, it's so easy that most people, well, not most, a few people on their blind playthroughs of the game, so that they've never seen the game before, can just do it. So it's kind of funny.
And right here, Jaio's doing a trick that is similar to how a reportal works, where you're placing a portal as you're going through, but by placing the portal that you are currently falling through, on the ceiling, or no, the opposite portal, so the one you're currently falling through, you then can still get to the other side of the portal, while still placing the portal where you were aiming, in which then you can place your second portal, then get to the portal you place. Hopefully that made sense.
Oops. Yeah, this chapter is interesting. Chapter 7. A funny thing... Did I just not shoot something? Hold on. I didn't. I just didn't... No. I just didn't do something right. There we go.
And there, what Jaio did is that by having a ton of jump inputs going through as you're hitting that blue gel, the blue gel will just continue to give you more and more speed the more and more that you scroll, due to the amount of times that the game is detecting a jump input, and then you can just fling straight to the ending using that.
Alright. I did... In the past week, I've done quite possibly hours of practice on this map, so hopefully I get it good.
Yeah, and this map is going to contain the famous Lemon Rant, which is probably the most popular thing in this game. And by doing a funky little thing that Jaio is going to do here, he's going to get stuck in this slant. Yeah, he's going to get stuck in that slant, and by shooting a ton of portals and doing that super reportal, we completely skip that entire ramp.
Yep. So normally everyone's, I guess, favorite part of the game here, the part that gets quoted so much online, is not present in the speedrun. It's funny too, because in the next map, GLaDOS will actually mention the Lemon Rant as if it happened.
And here,
I'm told.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm told that, of course, J.K. Simmons improvised the Lemon Rant.
Did he?
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
they didn't write it. The writers didn't write it. He just improvised it.
That does sound like something that he would do. I did not know that.
And a trick that Jaio is doing here, now as far as my knowledge, no one's found out exactly why it happens, but the player can get stuck between a couple of weird level pieces in the game, in which the game is detecting that you're falling and is giving you the speed as if you are falling. However, your player model is not falling, meaning by using that quick gain of velocity, you can then hit the gel that was placed to then bounce up the giant tube, skipping a pretty good chunk of the level. And then here we're going to be doing another one of these super reportals, where then he's going to get stuck in the ground once again, and then looks like his portal wasn't close enough to give him the velocity at first.
Alright, so I'm actually going to have to open up console here and load a previous quick save of mine. Oh, I just didn't get a good lineup, it looks like. That is very annoying. So I am going to have to reset up the trick, it looks like. That's annoying.
Yeah, by having all those portal places, he can then shoot straight up past the door that is opening. But this trick is kind of finicky. It's not one that... it works most of the time when done perfect, but even sometimes when you feel like you've done it perfect, it can even still mess up from time to time.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. And also, that marks the end of the underground section of the game. So no more Cave Johnson. Instead, we're going to be heading into Wheatley Laboratories here, as Wheatley is now the mad scientist running the show. So now the goal of the game has changed from escape to not have Wheatley run the facility. And instead, ironically enough, you and GLaDOS sort of team up here to get Wheatley out of power.
And here coming up is going to be another pretty big trick that's going to be skipping some of the more iconic pieces of dialogue, which is going to be when GLaDOS is trying to take down Wheatley using paradoxes. However, by throwing the cube in a specific way, you can then abuse the thing that was used way earlier in dual lasers and also triple laser, where you can get against the door, and as long as the player is there, once the cube hits the button, you can just go straight through, skipping the about 50-second cutscene.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm shooting a bit too low, or I'm throwing a little bit too low.
And this
But
trick
I have
is
not done this trick in. There we go.
There we go.
I haven't done this trick in a while, and it's not the easiest thing to get down in muscle memory.
Oh, and Me Pretty was asking to explain cube throw, and you throw the cube. Yeah.
That's about it. Anyway, the last of this, the rest of this map is very boring. As you can see, it's Wheatley's very difficult test. So let's see if anyone in chat here, see if anyone here can solve it. Does anyone know what to do?
I would have never thought of that solution, Jaio. You are so smart.
Thank you.
Why don't you just keep solving this test?
Here, in fact, I'm so good at this test that I could do it twice.
No way. I don't believe you.
Nothing. Alright, can't blame you for trying. Okay, new tests. Gotta be some tests around here somewhere.
Do we have time for 2 last-minute donations here at some point?
Yeah, you can do those now.
Okay, cool. We have a 20-pound donation from Nem. Message just says, ooh woo. And then we have an anonymous 70-pound donation saying, all right, some for Ellen.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thanks for announcing those more.
I just
No problem.
completely forgot what to do. Alright, so this is, I guess, the biggest trick in the run here. I did not get it.
And this is a trick where it's gonna be kind of crazy, and it's not gonna make full sense at first. But basically, by abusing funnels and crouching, you can just gain a fly state as if you are in the funnel the whole time. And as someone in chat pointed out, this was found on the day 1 of the game in Laser Platform. Laser Catapult, which is a feature map. And kind of the technical explanation as to why it works is that when you're in the funnel, the game has a counter telling you when you should be flying or not. And when you first enter the funnel, you get the number goes to 1. And by crouching in that funnel, the game just doesn't know how to handle you crouching in a funnel, and it will put the counter to 2. And once you leave the funnel, it subtracts 1 from that total, leaving you still with 1, making the game think that you should still be flying in the level. And then this can be preserved into future levels.
It is kind of interesting, and it completely destroys this entire chapter. I like to think of it as Wheatley isn't good at building tests, so he just kind of looked this over.
I'm confused. So I keep saying a cube, and it looks like they're 2 turrets attached.
Yes, these are Franken turrets, and Franken turrets are one of Wheatley's creations here. After overrunning the facility, he thought that the normal cubes weren't good enough, so he made his own cube. He Frankenstein together cubes and turrets to create Franken turrets.
Yeah.
See, that's something else new to me. I had never heard of that.
I believe they use the voice of the broken turrets, who I'm not sure who the voice of that is.
Do they? Do they talk?
I'm pretty sure they do. Do they?
They make little noises, which I don't know if they pick up over the stream as much. But when he's holding one, they will make. They'll just make little noises as if they're kind of like live animals, which if you think over is definitely.
I think all the turrets are me. I don't think anybody else voiced any of the turrets.
How did you voice the? Sorry,
yeah,
go
they're
ahead.
broken turrets as well, and they sound completely different than the. Okay, I'm just gonna not do that. But yeah, they sound completely different compared to the normal turrets. So I'm going to
have
assume.
to Google that and pull them up so I can hear the sounds because I'll remember. I made a lot of different sounds for this game.
So you did the defective turrets as well?
Yes.
That's really cool. I never knew that until now.
That's interesting then. Yeah, I didn't know that. But yeah, we don't see any normal cubes in any of these wheelie tests, which isn't that big of a deal because when you're holding them, as you can see, they sort of put their legs inside here, and that just makes them square and cube-like again, so it's not that big of a deal. However, they can sometimes be a bit of a hassle.
There's a number of ways to solve them, and you're picking all the worst ways. No, that won't.
Okay, in chat we have some confirmation here. The defective turrets are Nolan North.
Oh, are they Nolan? Okay. All right. Thank you.
So,
I appreciate that information.
So I'm going to assume that these Franken turrets are also his grunts. So this is that map that Fridge was mentioning earlier, Laser Catapult. This is where the fly glitch was discovered. And as you can see, we of course are going to be abusing it to finish the level here.
And fun fact, the way that it was exactly found is that when somebody went to the top of the level using the funnel, they just happened to crouch. And then once they were trying to leave the funnel while still holding crouch, they just held W and left the funnel and they were fine.
Fun fact about this map, I don't like it. That concludes the fun fact.
Yeah, this map is...
How high is that?
Doing the map with fly is actually quite easy, and this isn't bad. However, doing the map without the flying glitch is just annoying.
Because it takes too long, or?
I don't know. I think just because of the map revolves around using a moving platform, and just having to mess around with the moving platform. That's how you would normally solve the map if you're playing not speedrunning. But just the way that speedrunners complete the map is it's not fun.
Yeah, the speedrun...
Unless if you're insane, maybe.
Yeah, the speedrun routes for laser platform are one of the more difficult tricks. Utilizing a lot of portals, and then also just making a lot of tight jumps, and it's just doing a lot of things within a short period of time.
In fact, you might say you're going to love it to death.
So I mentioned earlier about that map that had like a bunch of ties to it. This is a map kind of similar to that, in that for you to finish the map, you need to look at the Peabody robot, which is the robot from the cooperative campaign. And Peabody doesn't actually appear on the screen or in game until a little while until the map starts. So you actually just kind of have to sit there and not really do anything until bot shows up. So it's a bit annoying.
Only 3 more chambers to your big surprise.
Alright.
Then I'm looking over at the Twitch chat here, and it looks like that with the latest donation that we've passed the donation amount from the first event for this.
That is
very
correct. Yeah, we had a 14-pound donation from Nem saying potatoes are good. Thank you for that donation. Yep, officially beat the total from our first marathon. So thank you so much, everyone who's been donating, and thank you for surpassing our goals. Wow.
All right, so we are in the last chapter of the game now. This chapter is named "Part Where He Kills You." Spoiler alert: he won't, hopefully. But yeah, this map, as well as the rest of the chapter, is very broken with fly. So to the point where I could just skip all over Wheatley's traps here, and just fly through them. Oh, it's quite interesting. Just sort of flying through him. There he is. Being the big overworld god or whatever he thinks he is.
And also to mention, at the beginning of the level, you may have noticed that when Jaio had jumped up, he hit his head on seemingly nothing. What's actually there is an unused piece from the game. Well, it's still in the game, however, it's not used towards the story, is that there's a Wheatley monitor back there. And with that, there's a little clip that is supposed to help kind of the ease of that coming out and to not break the game in some ways. But by abusing that, you are at the perfect height to then eventually fly through the halls and then bonk off of Wheatley's monitors towards the end.
But yeah, so now the game, we have no more test chambers, no more testing. The goal here is now purely to escape Wheatley and get the factory. Well, not back to GLaDOS, but back in a state where it's not overrun by Wheatley. Which I think is a good goal.
Yeah.
So as you can see, you can just fly past this. Fly past through this trap here.
But he's still talking to you. I can hear him in the
yeah, there Wheatley has speakers all around the facility. As in fact you'll be able to, or at least I think you'll be able to see him. Let me see here. I'm not sure if Wheatley will appear. I don't think he will.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, no. Normally there's a computer monitor that goes up there, so you'll be able to see, so that you will be able to see Wheatley. I guess it didn't pop up. I'm not entirely sure when it, just when it does.
But you're racing past all of that.
Yep, I'm just flying past all of them. In fact, well, we are going to be seeing Wheatley here, as this next map that I'm entering into now is the boss fight map, and it's also the last map of the game. So we are going to be fighting Wheatley here for control of the facility. In a parallel, like Portal 1. In Portal 1, your boss fight against GLaDOS is a fight where you have to take off 3 cores off of GLaDOS, well, 4 technically, off of GLaDOS to put her into a non-corrupted state. And unlike that, we're actually going to be putting 3 cores onto Wheatley to turn him into a corrupted core. So it's like a complete opposite here. But it's a good parallel between the two games.
I understand. I didn't know that.
Well, we do have to sit here in a little bit of a cutscene while Wheatley monologues.
And I saw there was a donation if you want to see that one.
Yes, I was actually about to ask, is now a good time?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. We have a 100-pound donation from Lil Stressball saying Finale 4 skip.
I will try. No, I failed. I give up.
Thank you so much for that generous donation. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. How wonderful. Now, I have to know what a Finale 4 skip is.
Yeah, so the 4 maps, so there are 4 maps in this chapter. They're called Finale 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's sort of like an ongoing meme now where we're trying to figure out a way to skip this whole boss fight. Which is probably never going to happen.
I see, so nobody's done that yet.
No, nobody's tried it. No, we've tried working and finding stuff after we discover something new, a new trick. We try applying it into this map, but it just never works.
Yeah, it's been something that many people in the community have probably spent, at this point, around thousands of hours. Would not surprise me for a number of trying to get a skip in there, from just learning different things about the game in terms of the physics engine and just the different quirks of the game.
Ah, come on.
But we hope one day that it will be found.
Try this. Let's try shooting. Will shooting a portal work? No, it's not. Alright, I give up. I tried, but I guess Finale 4 skip isn't happening today. Alright, so the boss fight is now practically over. We only have one thing left to do in the game, and that is to get Wheatley out of the core's position using the stalemate button, the same stalemate button that got GLaDOS out of her position of power earlier in the game. However, instead of pushing the button, we're actually going to skip the button. Spoiler alert, you end Portal 2 by shooting the moon, which is somewhere up there. However, when you portal into this room, which we're going to have to do, you could just shoot the moon anyway without hitting the stalemate button. So I'm just going to be doing that, hopefully ending the game 16 seconds earlier than... okay, I didn't get it. So I'm just gonna let this cutscene run out here. Yeah, let's see here. I will call time when time hits. Yeah, I'm moshed. And... time.
Woo, nice. 1:10:20.
So 1:10:20 in real time, so that's counting loads. And then in game time, without loads, it's a 1:08:45.
Wow, that's awesome. GG's.
And
Bravo.
to do a quick shout out, the loads in this game are usually not that short, but shout out to the SAR developers, Emla, Kersey, Blender, Rainbow Phoenix, everyone else that's worked on the plugin to make this game both easier to time and a lot of quality of life features as well.
Yeah, this timer that you can see, everything that you can see on screen, so the timer, that HUD on the top left, the bottom left input HUD, that's all allowed on a plugin by, well, originally by Nex, but now ran by a ton of other people called Source Auto Record, and it makes this game so much better to speedrun. So much better to play, actually. Alright, so here we have our final cutscene here. We won't be able to listen to the song Want You Gone, sadly, as Twitch does not like when you play that song. Copyright will hit you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's annoying that you can't listen to them, but it's just best to be safe. But anyway, that's pretty much it for Portal 2. It's a very cool speedrun. After... if you are interested in Portal 2 at all, then you could check out the Discord server, discord.gg/p2sr. It's a great community, very welcoming, for a very fun speedrun, so I'd highly recommend it if you're looking for a new game to try out, or if you just like Portal 2 in general and want to try out speedrunning it. So that's pretty much it. Now we just gotta wait for GLaDOS here to let us out of the facility.
Let us out, Ellen.
Actually,
GLaDOS
will we
likes
be allowed
to talk.
We may not be out of the facility because we may need to end the game early. Yep, I think I have to leave the game early for that one. because the song that's about to play does also get you copyrighted.
Yeah.
So we
What, the
won't even be
tourist
let out of the
opera?
facility, sadly. Yeah, both the turret song that the turrets sing and Want You Gone both get copyrighted,
Ah,
which is very annoying.
Well done, Jaio. Thank you so much for that awesome run, and thank you, Fridge, for the commentary. And also, yeah, huge thank you to Ellen for joining us today. You are such a gem, and it's been so wonderful having you here.
well, thank you. I mean, this is fascinating. I've seen more of the game in an hour 8 minutes than I've ever seen before. Jaio, thank you. Good job.
Thank you as well
And
for coming on the
Fridge, you
microphone.
had very helpful things to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, so everyone, yeah, thank you again for showcasing Portal 2 here. Please stay tuned, keep watching, keep lurking. Your support and you being here just absolutely means the world to us. And of course, if you're able, please consider donating. Every little bit counts. And again, no amount is too small to help provide to help us out with Haven House here. So yes, everyone, be sure to stick around for some more awesome runs.